I don't know if you
Yeah.
watched that show. I haven't watched it. I watched a bit of the first episode. What's it called? With a teenage boy. Oh my God, it's on Netflix. It's
Adolescence.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched it, but just sort of the whole commentary around unhealthy masculinity, something like that, and trying to thread the needle, which I love. I think the perfect needle threading is similar to what your work is called, powerful and loving, right? We want
Yeah.
another idea is soft front, firm back. I like that sort of saying. I think we've just lost the plot a little bit on all this type of stuff. And I think clarifying that, like, there is a archetypal sort of masculine ideal
Mm-hmm.
and needs to be promoted and understood and clarified these days because we've just lost the plot on it. And yeah, I guess I'm just kind of curious how you're thinking about that stuff right now. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think about it. Maybe you and I will agree or disagree. I don't know. But I think about it like on a soul level. We are all confluence of masculine, feminine energies and
Mm-hmm.
complex qualities. I don't. I do believe there's a biological difference between men and women, and every man and woman is different. Some women have more
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
testosterone than some men, but there is generally a biological differences between us, right? Uh,
Clearly, yes.
Clearly, that have
Yeah.
different hormones that cause us
Yeah.
to emphasize more aspects of our character as men and women, and that shows up. And then there is a significant portion of people who are very much in between. It's
Yeah,
more
for sure.
ambiguous. It's more
For sure.
complex. There are people who are trans, where that
Mm-hmm.
gender
Mm-hmm.
identity. What I learned working with little kids years ago was we've come to a place in our evolution as a society, at least in North America and in Canada, where we can tolerate 5 or 6 year olds can tolerate having different cultures, different religions, different languages. But if you start talking about different gender, you're fucking with something. I remember telling a story sitting around with 5 year olds, grade one class, 5 and 6 year olds. And we were telling stories, and these are like trilingual kids, multiple cultures, right? There's a lot of diversity and acceptance. But we're telling a story, and there's only one rule when you tell collective stories: you can't negate previous things that people have said. You can just add.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just a good rule for dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And you can't kill a character or the main character. That's it. So guess what happens? So we're telling a story about a mouse. The mouse is living on a mountain. The mouse speaks 3 languages. The mouse has friends from different countries visit. But then one day, and this is one girl said, she said the mouse wanted to wear. He was a boy mouse. He wanted to wear a dress, and you wouldn't believe what happened next. Half the kids were like, "We have to kill the mouse. He's our main character. He's beloved. We love this story, but nope, he must die." The teacher in the room wanted to shut down the story.
Yeah, I bet.
I was like, "There's something really powerful about gender rule."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's also something biological about how we want things to be really simple and clear. It's one way or the other, right? I think that age is when kids are starting to realize which gender they are and who they're patterning. Again, male, female patterning. And it becomes really rigid for a few years where girls want to just be with girls and boys are
Mm-hmm.
gross and
Mm-hmm.
boys just want to be playful and girls are weird and uppity. And so there's a lot going on. What I found really useful talking about masculinity lately with working with men for so many years, I think on a deeper level, we talked earlier about working with hard feelings, right? Like fear, shame, guilt, anger. How do we deal with hard feelings? So I like to frame it this way. Um, I'm a man. I have a feeling. I don't like the feeling. As a woman, I would be more conditioned socially to talk about it, tell my girlfriends, get it off my chest. That's what girls are taught to do, right? And maybe they're more developed also biologically, verbally, younger. They have different parts of their brain develop. But boys were just taught to just suck it up, just deal with it. But I'm a sensitive man. Am I a real man? I don't know, but I'm a sensitive guy. I feel feelings really intensely, and I'm aware of people's feelings, and I work as a therapist. So what do I do with it? And there's two traps. There's two characters inside of me. There's the stoic character, the guy who's very smart, very intellectual, is like, David, this feeling is going to get you in trouble. If you voice this anger or this fear, it's illogical, it's irrational. Let's just like put it aside, get to work, get the shit done, be rational, be thoughtful, just cut that out. So I listen to the stoic guy, and then I get an ulcer, then I get cancer. Then I have problems because my wife notices that I'm eye rolling when I'm angry, but I don't want to tell her why I'm angry because I don't want to get into a fight because I'm a stoic guy, right? But I grit my teeth at night, and I have my teeth chip. And like, there's a cost to being just listening to just that guy, that kind of old school masculinity, toughen up, suck it up. There's a truth to that. There's a value to that. Mm-hmm. Something dangerous is happening. I got to put all my feelings aside and just jump in, right? But that has a cost. So let's say I stop listening to that guy. Then I listen to the woke guy inside of me, who's like the therapist, who's learned to trust his feelings and listen to his feelings, and everyone's perspective is really valuable, and feelings are really, important. And it's my authenticity, Mike. This feeling is my truth. Don't you dare take my truth. And if you take my truth away or invalidate me, you're gaslighting me, and I'm outraged, and I live in my feelings. And all my feelings are my true self because I feel them, and they feel so real. And my therapist wants to talk to me about my feelings for decades and validate the heck out of my feelings, right? But there's a trap there too, because I never let go of my feelings, and I never discover who I am outside of my social conditioning, outside of my gender condition, gender biology, and outside of my feelings, my personality, my emotional reactions. I never discover who I really am unless I can let go and release my feelings and communicate those feelings and learn to listen to them, but not believe them entirely. Use them as a signpost or as a guide, right? So I have a workshop, I like to call it No Hard Feelings, because there are really no hard feelings. They're just hard men who've become hard. They've hardened their hearts. They've stopped listening to that compass that's inside their chest. And then they're lost. And they're always telling me how lost and confused they are. But once they tell me about their feelings, they're less lost and confused. But then they get stuck in those feelings. So I teach men basically how to listen to their feelings, decode them, understand what anger is trying to tell you, what fear is trying to tell you. Every feeling has a message. Once you get the message, you don't have to hold on to it in your body like a dog holding a bone. You can put the fucking feeling down. If your wife does something that crosses your boundary, you have a right to be angry. But put the feeling down and then talk to her. And it's okay to be angry still, but don't throw all your anger at her, and don't believe your anger 100%. She might have a good reason why she did what she did. There's, things you don't know about what's going on in the world. There's more than your feeling, but your feeling is important. It's a paradox, right? And in that paradox, when men start to not be stoic or woke, and they find just their own emotions have value, but there's more, there's a soul wiser knowing, I think that's where true masculinity starts to emerge. And it comes out a little differently for each man. I think that's why it's hard to impose some kind of like what masculinity should look, but it's that paradox that you spoke to, that firm back, soft front, right? I care, and I'm not going to let you fuck with me. I'm here to influence you and the people you're listening to, but I'm also here to accept you and try to understand you. And actually, by doing both, I'm more effective in both.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's how I approach it. I try to approach it pragmatically of like, how do I unlock each man's soul so their full man can show up? Because usually most men are like working on just a tiny range of their actual capacity. They're being really emotional, they're being really rational, but once they start to expand their range and show up fully, everybody in their life knows it. Their wife, their kids are like, wow, there's dad. He's so passionate. He's so alive, but he's so smart. He's so intelligent. He's so thoughtful. He's so planned. He's so, he's got it all. And he's humble because he knows that he's human and he's limited and he doesn't know everything. And,
thank you. Yeah. I think I'm probably in the same relative page as all of that with you. Two things I wanted to mention. One is whether I blanked out on it or not, I want to know what happened to the mouse in the story with the kids. Yeah. And then the other piece is just the word stoic, like kind of, I know the context you're using it in. I think though there's a huge misconception about sort of being stoic, right? That's not sort of traditionally what stoicism is, to suck it up and stuff it and right? Yeah. The stoic is more what you were describing, somewhere in the middle, being able to access what is necessary and to be kind of assertive. And I have lots of male clients who kind of get stuck in this, I just need to suck it up more. Yeah. Like I'm not sucking it up enough. And if I did, then I wouldn't be upset with my wife treating me poorly.
I need that more self-control.
Yeah.
Get this under control, right?
Yeah. Like, I'm being treated terribly by my wife and somehow it's my fault because I'm not sucking it up enough or something like that, right? Or I'm being treated. Anyway, so the mouse, please tell me about the mouse first. And then
just really quick, I do understand that true stoicism, the roots of it are a lot closer to the center, but there are problems with stoicism.
Sure.
It was thousands of years ago and it's missing a few things.
For sure.
And I think the same thing you could say about wokeism. Wokeism emerged out of just have a fucking social conscience. It's not all about you. There are other people. Whoa, guess what? You're part of a society.
Yeah. Shocking.
It's not just all about individuals and entrepreneurs who rule the world. So, but both have been turned into weapons, weaponized towards a polarization, right? So I like to play with that polarization because that's inside of each of us, right?
Yep.
We have that, we have those divisions inside.
Indeed.
And I think people come to that center and they find their own language too, which is beautiful, right? Yeah. Some people talk about it being the enlightened warrior. Other people talk about it as just different ways. Yeah. Being a wise stoic or someone who's awakened and more humbled, more human, more of a mensch. There's so many ways that you can describe what that healthy, whole manhood looks like. And I think that's the beauty of it. Every man has his own embodied expression to bring to the world. The world needs each of us to mature into that, right?
Indeed.
So back to the story of the mouse. This is 20 years ago.
Okay.
I was in my late 20s.
Wow.
I didn't have such a strong spine back then. I was a bit of a pushover. But I had a strong enough spine in that moment to tell the teacher, no, we're not shutting the story down. You hired me to come in. You sit back and let me handle this. And I told the kids, I said, you can't do that. You want to kill that's interesting. You want to kill the mouse. Ooh, let's bring in someone who tries to kill the mouse, but you can't kill the main character. And you can't change the fact that they're interested in wearing a dress. Sorry, that's just the rule. I'm confronting you where you can't make this just magically go away. And that's great stories too, right? Great stories they force you to wrestle with something that you don't, I don't like this. This is uncomfortable. Oh, magical, make it go away. Those stories I hate. They're so fake and manipulative and they leave you feeling kind of empty. But a good story makes you go, fuck, I want to know what happens next. Right?
Yeah.
So they wrestled with it. Every kid was like looking at me, but I want to. And there were some kids who started to but there's nothing wrong with this mouse. But then some people didn't like it. But then some people thought it was fine. And then there was this this dialogue between each time someone added a piece. What does that mean? How do we handle when a boy wants to be a girl and girl wants to be a boy? And how come it's okay for a girl to wear pants, but not, they started to wrestle with it, which I was like, that's what this needed to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the story just ended with that tension, that mouse developed allies, but also understood that they didn't fit into the world. What was beautiful was watching the girl who shared the story. She was obviously somebody who didn't fit in. You could tell. You know, you see kids, you're like, oh, that's the
Yeah.
one. That's the one that can get scapegoated. That's the one that can be,
Yeah.
Trans people are 10 times more likely to be murdered. 10 times.
Wow.
Just for looking different when they walk down the street. That's really what it is. That's how threatening they are to our gender identity, right? 10 times more likely to be murdered. And they're usually living in cities, right? So it's not like it's in some weird land in Afghanistan or something. So I saw that in the kids, and I saw that in her, and I saw her spine straightening up as the story progressed. You know, she took a dare, added something dangerous. People wanted to kill the character that she identified with. So imagine the hostility of the children towards that kid as 5-year-olds. Holy shit, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But as we told the story, and as she saw me standing up for the biodiversity of this ecosystem, I could see her straightening her spine, that she's not going to be accepted in this world. She's not going to be loved by everyone. She's going to have a hard fucking time if she's true to herself. But she will develop allies, and she can trust in herself who she needs to be. And that, my hope is that I gave her a little tiny bit of that in that moment to say, yeah, you're okay the way you are, and you will find your way in the world. Even if some people want to murder you, even if some people want to erase you, you exist. You deserve a place in this story. It was just a very fascinating story. I wish I had recorded it, because
it would have been, so good. Like so many good lessons in that. Yeah. Wow. I love how you handled that whole situation and held the boundaries and allowed the kids to wrestle with the struggle of challenging themselves. I think, oh man, yeah, there's so much in that. And there's so many.
That's my version of manhood. My version of manhood is the guy who goes around and says, don't do this, don't do that. This is good. This is bad. You're a real boy. You're not a real boy. To me, that's a bullshit masculinity. For sure. That's a teenage masculinity, right? A real man steps in and says, let's wrestle, let's fight. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all the women are, oh my God, they're going to get hurt. No. I got this. There's boundaries. There's limits. Everyone can do it their way. I will teach them things that they could learn, as an elder, but I'm going to create the structure, the container for safety, for trust to be built. And it's going to be a little bit dangerous.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what people need to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that energy is sorely lacking from our education system.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. It's either not enough tension.
Yeah.
People are silenced, or it's too much indoctrinating and trying to get everyone.
Yeah. But I love how it's like, we're going to take risks and we're going to struggle and it's going to get a little scary and uncomfortable, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's 10:30. Probably got to go. There's a sign in my kids' playground in the junior school: walk, don't run. Like, it's so idiotic, but it's like an example of kind of how we've lost the plot.
Instead of having somebody there who says, hey, let's play, let's run, let's do stuff, but just be aware of other people.
Yeah.
And if you bump into somebody, let me show you how to repair.
Yeah.
And learn from that. So next time you can run around them. Right? Like, there's such a lost opportunity there by just policing everyone. Yeah. Great example.
Okay. Well, David,
this has been amazing. I love talking to you.
Likewise, it must happen sooner than this extended period of time this time. But thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. And just once again, the book is The Great Fire, A Tale of Trust and Courage, written by David, his wife, Maria, and daughter, Sophia. And all that information will be in the show notes. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's been awesome.
I am very grateful that you watched to the end of this video. Please click one of the boxes to watch more of our content, and otherwise have a great day. Peace out.